if there's a fella listening to this right now and he's like, all right, I do want to be a better man. I can tell that I'm too nice or I'm, just trying to appease people. How does one grow in masculinity without immediately becoming an insecure tyrant, like we've talked about? Because if I'm honest with you, this is one of my concerns, right? Mm-hmm. Not that I don't disagree with anything you've said, but there's a fear in me that you take an insecure young man who's never led anything in his life and he just gets married and you tell him and he listens, he hears about the marital debt and why his wife should be submissive to him. And my fear is that he could co-opt that language to dominate his wife and to shame her when she doesn't listen to him because he's not actually secure in his masculinity.
Yeah.
And I know that, what's that thing we talked about, Josiah, that exception make bad law?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I get that exception makes bad law, but still, I think it's something worth addressing.
I think a big part of this, first and foremost, is you've got to be in a community of other men that are married.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Right.
I think when you isolate yourself and like you become the only man you listen to, that's really bad. Really bad. I don't know. I mean, I probably would have come to the celibacy thing if it wasn't for Tim or Chris, or maybe I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But the fact that I had those men to sharpen against or to call me out, it was really important. So this is why fellowship is so important. It's like a guy needs to be in a group of men that are going to say like, dude, like you're being a dick to your wife, bro. Stop that. The difficulty with this too is that there's an element of overcoming nice guy syndrome and indecisiveness and this stuff that requires some, not sloppy practice, but you kind of have to try it on. And that's hard because like, you're not going to get it right. You're never going to perfect it. And this is what I say to guys that are nice guys or struggle with indecisiveness is like, you need to learn how to exist in the tension of those situations that would make you say yes immediately or make you buckle. You kind of have to get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And sometimes it's going to come across as like an overcorrection. So I don't know if I have a fully fleshed out solution, but I know because we're sloppy creatures, there's going to be an element of sloppy practice. I think what we do is we need to bring it back to, is this honoring God? Is the way that I'm acting honoring God? If my wife is sick, but because she needs to honor the marital debt, I'm making her have sex with me. Do you think God wants that? You just arbitrarily telling her not to go out to the library to play with your kids because you want to see if she'll listen to you. Would God want you to do that? I don't think so. Like, you have to play out these scenarios. These were scenarios that come out in my head. It's like, my wife doesn't ask me these things. If I told her to just stay home, she wants to be home 99% of the time anyways, which is great. She'd be like, okay, I'll do that. But like, why? I wouldn't know how to answer her besides, it doesn't matter why. You just got to listen. Like, we ought to fear God more. And I think downstream from that, like honestly fearing God and like I have to answer for the way that I'm leading my family. I can see how that can make a guy really effeminate, but I think has to be part of the conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm
trying to parse this out loud here.
No, I like it. That's part of a long form discussion, right? But yeah, it's like, how do I be a better man? The answer is not, well, here's how you should treat your wife. The answer is, here's how you should submit to God.
That's right.
It begins with that relationship.
It has to begin with that relationship. This is the issue. So many guys are clueless because they haven't had fathers to guide them through this process. Like, we're seeing this perfect storm of male loneliness, the absconding father, and feminism. And of course we have this now. We have the red pill and feminism and men and women at odds. Men don't know how to be men because they haven't been taught by men. And women don't know how to be women because they've been fed a lie. The devil he's been really crafty. And in a lot of this, in some instances, he's won and he's rubbing his hands together. And I think the only solution is to completely is just submitting to God, not in what you think submitting to God is, what that actually is. And that's actually hard to actually spell out because guys need to be told what to do. Because even in me developing, me coaching these guys in my own marriage, it's just a product of kind of the mistakes that I've made. But how do I get this down into something that's like tangible and I can put into a program or here, go and do this. But the problem is what that becomes is much like the red pill. When I was entrenched in the red pill, there'd be like a certain situation that would come up in like a dating scenario. I didn't know how to handle it myself because I actually didn't trust that discernment. how to handle this situation, and then red pill Reddit and just see what guys had to say about it. And I was just listening to these other random dudes on the internet. And I think it's part of it is because we become so disconnected to our bodies. This is what I mean. We look at our bodies as just a means of transportation for our heads. Where I think a lot of guys, especially nice guys, get stuck here, and they've kind of forgotten that there's this discernment here. And I think there's head knowledge and discernment. When those things meet, there's wisdom. Those things have to meet. Yeah. But there's like a bottleneck there. And I hope this is making sense, because again, this is so much idea exploration out loud. But this is as far as I've gotten with it, at least now.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Before you go, do us a favor, leave a comment, let us know what you thought of the video, like, and subscribe.